Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well and that you're working hard on your 90-day challenge if you're still with us. And just want to let you know that I love you and I appreciate you and I admire each and every one of you. And thank you for coming on to these morning little inspirational, whatever we're calling them. And this week's we're going to start off with we did this meditation a little while ago anyways, but it says life is not a brief candle. It is a splendid torch that I want to make burn as brightly as possible before handing on to future generations. And this is by George Bernard Shaw. And what a great couple of sentences. This is, you can tell someone's a master of writing when in the sentences that they create, and they bring up so much. And the first statement is that many of us make the statement or the assumption that life is short, it goes quickly. And that you only have a little bit of time, and I've even said that, but that's an interesting kind of almost a defeatist attitude, in that we have a lot of opportunity, we have a lot of time to get things done. It's how we view our day, our weeks, our years. And then he goes on to say, let's not look at it this brief little candle that's just going to be a small moment in the history of humankind, that our lives are these blazing, amazing opportunities, a torch, not just this little candle that we need to kindle and need to make sure that it's bright and really going. And here's the great part, that within that one sentence he says is that we hand off to the next generation. The assumption is that throughout this little statement, you might be thinking that you're talking about you and what it is that you're going to offer. And what is your name going to be on the plaque outside the building? But it has nothing to do with that. The reason that you kindle and ignite this huge flame is not for you, but for the people to come after you. And what a masterful couple of sentences there. I'll read that again. Life is not a brief candle. It is a splendid torch that I want to make burn as brightly as possible. So we are moving on in Pirkei Avot, and hold on, let me just get there. I'm a little ill-prepared this morning. I didn't have it open to the page. Usually I do, but I did not this morning. We are right in the middle of, I believe, chapter 4. We've been studying Pirkei Avot, as you all know, and we are right in the middle of chapter 4. And we, I believe, are on Mishnah 15. So it's done in chapters. There's generally accepted 6 chapters of the Mishnah of Pirkei Avot, and within them you have different numbers, and those are called Mishnah. So you have Pirkei Avot chapter such and such, Mishnah such and such. And sometimes you'll get different versions of these. This is one that is in the Siddur, and understand that we read this actually in the summer months on the afternoon of Shabbat. Because the idea is that Pirkei Avot is an ethical piece of literature, and that in the long Shabbat afternoons in the summer, we should occupy our time studying ethical works, rabbinic works, rabbis' statements and sayings that discuss ethics, so that we stay out of trouble in those long afternoons. And so, but we've been doing it during the week in the morning, so okay. Rabbi Eliezer ben Shemua Omer, he says, let the honor of your student be as dear to you as your own, the honor of your colleague as the reverence for your teacher, and the reverence for your teacher as the reverence of heaven. So how is it that we view kavod? Kavod is, what kind of weight do we put on our relationships? How do we honor is the word, but what kind of value do we put on our relationships? Take all your relationships. Take a look at the most significant relationships that you have. What value do you put on it? If you had to put a price on it, is it priceless? That's kind of what we use as a term. But how do you honor others is going to tell us how much value you have on it. If you don't value the relationship so much, there's not a lot of honor there. And so, what importance does that relationship have? So take in your mind maybe 3 or 4 relationships that you have: parents, siblings, spouse, children, friendships, whatever it is, and look at how you value it. Is it a relationship that's based on making you the best possible person you can be? You kind of hear that. Is it people that pull you, that push you, that help you become more intellectually strong, whatever it is? So just take those relationships, but look at the most important relationships, at least for the rabbis, as you understand, right? And in the context that we're talking about the rabbis here, we're talking about teacher and student. We're talking about mentorship. We're talking about, for them in this particular Mishnah, that's really what is being brought up here. This is the most valuable relationship, right? We understand that, at least in the Jewish tradition, the importance of education, the importance of learning, the importance of Torah, transmitting spiritual principles. And so what it says here is that let the honor of your student be as dear to you as your own. We, of course, value our own lives, do we not? And think about your own opinion. Do you value your own opinion? We share that. We value our own ideas, and we value very much our own experiences, right? And do I afford that to somebody else? We live in a world right now where it doesn't necessarily seem that we have a lot of honor for other people, that we value what they have. Just take a stroll on Facebook and go below the line, and you see that there's certainly opinions galore, but do you really truly value and honor the other person's opinion? And I think what Rabbi Elazar ben Shemua is saying, let the honor of your student, let the honor of somebody who's coming to you to learn, that is looking to you for your thoughts, considerations, opinions, interests, that they are coming, that you as the person that has this vulnerable person coming to you should value their thoughts, opinions, considerations as well as their own. That's a really great value, I should say, but I think characteristic to have. In fact, when you really talk about teachers and the best teachers in your life, and people, when they know someone has very high intelligence, is that they never make you feel as though you don't understand. They never make you feel as though you're stupid. They never make you feel as though you don't get it. And I know when people are coming to me for something, that's something that, if you truly love and honor the other person, and you respect the idea of learning and growth and change, that's the most important thing. And I think that's kind of hinting at that. The honor of your colleague as the reverence for your teacher. And so how do you put that you're vulnerable? Remember, I talked about how the student comes to the teacher and they're vulnerable, and I don't know. What if you did that to your colleagues? What if you were able to place yourself in a position of vulnerability, and place yourself in a position of being somebody who is trying to learn? The humility that we learned a couple of weeks ago, being teachable, being right size, being someone who knows what they know, and is aware of where they need to grow. But you're not doing that to a student. Sometimes it's easier to a mentor, right, to say, well, this is what I need to learn, right? Take a mentor, or take somebody that you're looking towards for advice. It's easier to get vulnerable. But what about somebody who's next to you, a sideline, somebody in the same position? Are you able to get vulnerable and show your weaknesses? Our society today, certainly within the context of our corporate society, if you have a sideline, or you have somebody who's in the same position of you, you're in competition, isn't that right? We actually celebrate that. We actually celebrate the competition. So here it's saying something a little different. When we're talking about honor and value, have the honor and value of that your colleague is your teacher, that you're able to get vulnerable, be teachable, be humble, be able to understand what you do and do not know. And imagine how the experience would be. And the other flip side to this is that Sometimes it's easier to know your place when you're here and they're down here, right? Let's say in any structure or anything like that, like take any game. If you're into mahjong or you're into whatever game it is, and that somebody's brand new to it, you know your position there, don't you? And if somebody's better than you, you know your position there. But what about somebody who is right next to you in that? What's your position there? Are you one that's helping them and learning from them? And sometimes the sideline, someone who's in the exact same position of us, teaches us more about ourselves and where we are. And then, of course, the final sentence in this Mishnah is, and the reverence for your teacher is the reverence of heaven. And having this honor, obviously, of your teacher will bring about the reverence of heaven. So know your place, know who and where you are, and what your function is in that relationship. Take again the relationships that you value and place yourself in those. And like I said, sometimes the most difficult relationships are the ones in which are colleagues. So it's my opinion. All right, 16, and then time just flies, don't it? 16, Mishnah 16. Again, we're in chapter 4, Mishnah 16. Rabbi Yehuda, Omer. Where did I just blank? I just blanked on Rabbi Yehuda, and I literally just took a blank. Okay. Be meticulous in study. Okay. Sorry, I was just focusing in on the word. Be meticulous in study, for a careless misinterpretation is considered tantamount to willful transgression. So this again is do you know the inside and out of, in our case here, we're talking about Mishnah, we're talking about Jewish law, we're talking about the Talmud, we're talking about this great encyclopedia of Jewish knowledge that's a vast array of laws and stories and so on, but you need to know it. And if you're going to speak from a place of opinion, you ought to know it. And be meticulous in study, for careless misinterpretation is considered tantamount to willful transgression. Can you truly say that you know what it is that you're talking about before going out into the world and putting on misinformation? We're seeing this all over the place, and it's with a great bunch of information, and that this is truly the information age, this age in which we live in right now. No doubt there is an abundance of information. What's real and what you're putting out, and this Mishnah is timeless in that understanding that you need to know what it is that you're talking about before you go put it out there. Because if you're putting out stuff that is just half truths or half knowledge, what does it say for? It's a willful transgression. That if you know that you're leaving out part of the story, what responsibility do you have in that? And how have you really not followed through with, in your case, the study and truly understanding what it is that you are aware of? And there's no doubt that there are, the running joke is that, if it doesn't take long for you to, good morning, everyone. I just saw on the side, we've got Leslie and Lori and Debbie here, and it's great to see you all and share with you this morning. The experts, everyone's an expert on something now, that you do a little bit of a Google search or a YouTube search, and all of a sudden you're an expert on it. And, we all have a bunch of information right at our fingertips. And what are you missing if you're not really a student? And I have to tell you, I'm just going to share a little anecdote on this, is that, and then we'll close for the day. Because we're going to get into the three crowns tomorrow. I want to talk about this at length. But for years, many of you know, I spent practicing self-taught guitar player, which is fine, which is great. And then you got YouTube out there, and YouTube is even a great tool for me to kind of plug in and play, and it sounds good, and it feels like I'm learning, and it feels like I'm doing a lot of stuff. And then all of a sudden, I made a decision about a month ago that I was going to take lessons again, and I have a dear friend who's very, very talented, and so we've been zooming together, and I've been taking several lessons. Within 2 weeks of lessons, everything opened up. It became very clear just in a conversation with a person one on one. And so I realized that what does study really mean? It means taking those extra steps, really putting your self commitment, right? What are you learning from taking lessons from somebody or taking having a study partner is that you have a commitment. You have somebody who is going to hold you accountable. You have somebody who is aware of what your capabilities are, that you have someone pulling you, you have somebody pushing you, you have a gauge, you have a colleague, you have all of these things. It's much easier in this world to kind of just hide out and do our Google or YouTube research and feel as though that I have a handle on it. And what am I missing by not truly doing the study, truly doing the research? You can get only so far. And when we start to put out, and I will make this parallel, and maybe transgression's a little strong for my pride in myself for being self-taught and not really taking on a tutor or a tutor earlier or somebody to teach me guitar lessons. But what an avera, what a sin! I will say that what a missing of the mark that I didn't do it earlier. And I think that to me is ultimately the lesson here is that if I'm careless or really not, thoughtful about what I'm missing out on, I'm missing the mark. And so we really have to take responsibility for our study. We really have to take responsibility for our knowledge. And I will end with this: is that is perhaps one of the most challenging things for living a Jewish life, is that certainly the Jewish tradition demands. And I think that anyone who has, gone to services or experienced Judaism on some level understands that it does demand quite a few things. And one is that you do study. You have to be aware there is no limitations to the amount of knowledge and the amount of time, I should say, that is demanded of somebody learning about Judaism. Whether it's just learning the prayer book, learning the services, learning Hebrew, learning the Mishnahs that we're talking about, learning the law, right? And it goes and goes. And to me, that's part of the fun, is that there is no end to the learning, and that when we take on a mentor, when we take on a sideline, when we take on mentees and learn, that is when everything is kicking full on all, or clicking on all fours. It's a little horse reference there for you to end today. Hope everyone is well, and have a wonderful day.